I didn't have to worry about finances. In fact, I had no idea how expensive disability was up until I became an adult, really. But after that, we had hospitalization, we had medical aid. So it seemed like things would be okay. But once you've left rehab, once you get right back into daily living with all of the needs that we have, we began to understand just how expensive this new life of mine would be.
Can you give us an example of some of those costs?
Sure. So, for example, I'll give you what I'm dealing with right now. I'm an adult. I'm married. I've got 2 children, and all of that is falling on me and my husband, of course. But some of the things that I need to always think about right at the beginning of the month is my medicine. I'm on chronic medication. My chronic meds cost me 3,000 Rand a month. That's just the chronic meds. I also have other medical supplies, which I need, which adds another 1,000 Rand to that. That's not me eating. That's not my accommodation. That's not even me traveling. I'm not talking about my wheelchair. I'm just talking about the stuff that I need to buy on a monthly. Our wheelchair, depending on the type that you have, if you want to be able to lead a good life, you need one that is suited for you, that fits you. Wheelchairs can be anything from 10,000 Rand to over 100K a chair, just the chair. We've got a shower chair that I may need. Transportation is more expensive for me. Getting to work is more expensive for me.
And you know what, Nonhlanhla, I was working with NCDP. That's how I got to realize just the massive, massive challenges that someone living with a disability faces. Because we'll do these workshops, Maya, where we're talking about personal finance. And before the workshop itself, we would have to find transportation for people living with a disability to come to the workshop. We'd have to get someone who's an interpreter too, even. And so for me, it showed me just the need to have this conversation around disability, around illness. And now you are bringing such a fresh perspective to see just the challenges of someone living with a disability.
I mean, if you can allow me, I'll try and explain why transportation is such a big problem. Public transportation is not accessible at all. But let's just say a taxi driver decided to stop on the road for me. It means I have to pay for myself and my wheelchair. So me and my neighbor from Kokasi could be saying that we need to go to work in Randburg and we're both going to use the same taxi. It costs me double daily to do so. What about somebody with a visual impairment who uses a guide dog? Will they even be allowed in a taxi, in a bus? It's extremely difficult. E-hailing services, now they're making them accessible. But guess what?
There's
assist costs more.
Cost. I mean, Stian, I want to bring you in here because this is obviously in your line of work. You must come across people who have experienced a disability or even a medical diagnosis. And what are some of the costs that you see that people may not even be aware of?
So, Maya, I think one of the things that we've seen in our experience dealing with clients in the case they get into an accident or something like that is we've seen now that some doctors charge up to 800% of medical aid rates for certain procedures. So, the medical aid, the medical expenses, just getting into if you experience a disability or that life-threatening situation you're in, and then afterwards, obviously, you sit with a lot of things like what Nonhlanhla spoken about in your house, just changing your shower or changing your putting rail guards up, putting ramps up in your house, making your house adjustable. And maybe you live in a double story. It might mean you need to sell your property, pay those commissions, pay transfer duties again, going to a smaller property or a better property suitable for your situation. Then you sit with a lot of other additional costs, like you said, your medical aid cost, all that type of stuff. I think the other thing that's very important is you might have caregivers to take care of you. Like you said, Nonhlanhla, up to 4 caregivers. That's very expensive. And if you're in a situation where you might be the breadwinner and something happens to your spouse in that scenario, there's additional cost. Who's going to look after the kids? Who's going to make sure your life and your lifestyle can get going? And then obviously you sit with physio, occupational therapy bills. That might even come in if someone is bedridden for a while. All those type of expenses add up to your monthly bill.
And sometimes even the cost of seeing a psychologist, because I can imagine it has such a mental health impact on you.